Good evening, and welcome to Cross-Examination. The question before us tonight is as profound as it is contentious. Should animals have the same rights as humans? This isn't merely a question of kindness, but one of justice, philosophy, and the very definition of rights. To grant animals rights equivalent to our own could necessitate a radical restructuring of our society, from our diets to our legal systems. To deny them these rights, some argue, is to perpetuate a form of discrimination as indefensible as any other. Tonight, we are fortunate to have two distinguished thinkers to navigate this complex ethical terrain. Arguing for the motion is Julian Croft, a philosopher whose work on animal ethics has challenged anthropocentric norms. Arguing against the motion is Dr. Anya Sharma, a biologist and legal scholar who advocates for a framework of welfare and stewardship. We will begin with opening statements, followed by a moderated discussion and closing remarks. Julian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. The proposition that animals deserve rights is, at its core, a call for moral consistency. The bedrock of human rights isn't our intelligence, our creativity, or our ability to enter into social contracts. It is our sentience, our capacity to feel pain, to experience joy, to suffer. And in this we are not alone. A vast body of scientific evidence has unequivocally demonstrated that countless non-human animals are sentient beings. They possess complex nervous systems and exhibit behaviors that clearly indicate fear, affection, and distress. To acknowledge this reality, yet deny them the most basic rights, the right to life, to bodily integrity, and to be free from enslavement and torture, is to commit an act of profound prejudice. This prejudice is called speciesism. It is a bias as arbitrary and morally objectionable as racism or sexism, where we grant or withhold rights based on a morally irrelevant criterion, membership in a particular species. The argument is not that a pig should have the right to vote or a chicken the right to an education. That is a deliberate mischaracterization. The argument is that a right's specific form should match the capacity of its holder. For sentient beings, this must include the fundamental right not to be treated as property, not to be a mere resource for human consumption or experimentation. Our current legal framework, which defines these feeling creatures as things, is a relic of an unenlightened past. Expanding our circle of moral concern is the inexorable march of ethical progress. It is time we took the next logical step.
Thank you. Mr. Croft presents a passionate argument, but one that conflates two fundamentally different concepts: animal welfare and animal rights. I am a staunch advocate for the former and a resolute critic of the latter. We have a profound moral duty to prevent cruelty and ensure the well-being of the animals with which we share this planet. This is a matter of responsible stewardship. However, the language of quote, lies so. However, the Anadolamanabo 10 and a framework of duties, reciprocity, and abstract reasoning. Rights do not exist in a vacuum. They are part of a social contract. We, as humans, are granted rights with the implicit understanding that we have the capacity to respect the rights of others and to bear responsibilities within our society. Animals, for all their magnificent and complex behaviors, cannot participate in this contract. They cannot reason abstractly about justice or perform civic duties. To grant them, quote, equal rights would create a legal and practical quagmire. Would a lion be held liable for murdering a gazelle? Who would represent a spider in court? The absurdity of these questions illustrates the flaw in the premise. The equal rights framework is unworkable because it attempts to apply a uniquely human system of ethics to the non-human world. Our focus should be on strengthening welfare legislation, promoting conservation, and enforcing humane standards based on scientific understanding of animal needs, not on dismantling the very concept of rights by applying it where it simply doesn't fit. This is the truly responsible and effective path.
Thank you both. Julian, Dr. Sharma draws a firm line between welfare and rights, arguing the latter is a category error, a human-specific concept that would lead to chaos if misapplied. How do you respond to her assertion that rights are contingent upon reciprocity and a social contract?
It's a classic objection, but it rests on a premise that we don't even apply consistently to humans. The social contract argument conveniently ignores what philosophers call marginal cases. Human infants, the severely cognitively disabled, or individuals in a coma cannot reciprocate duties or reason about morality. Yet, we grant them the most robust legal rights imaginable. We do so not because they are rational agents, but because they are vulnerable, sentient beings. If sentience is the criterion for them, it is pure speciesism to deny it for a chimpanzee or a dog who may possess a greater capacity for awareness than a human infant. The social contract is not the foundation of rights. It is a feature of a particular set of asterisk political rights among capable agents. The fundamental right to life and liberty, however, is based on a much deeper moral truth about the wrongness of inflicting suffering on a feeling creature.
Dr. Sharma, a powerful rebuttal. Julian argues that we already grant rights without expecting reciprocity, citing, quote, marginal cases within our own species. If an infant's rights are not based on their ability to contribute to a social contract, on what grounds do they hold them while an intelligent animal does not?
The argument from marginal cases is a well-known but, I believe, misleading emotional appeal. The way we treat vulnerable humans is predicated on a complex web of empathy, kinship, and species-specific social bonds. Rights are afforded to them as members of the human family, with the potential for personhood, and as a reflection of our collective humanity. It's a system designed by humans for humans. Extending it beyond our species creates intractable problems. Who becomes the legal guardian for all the squirrels in a park? If an animal has a right to life, does that make every predator a murderer and every ecosystem a crime scene? It renders the entire legal framework nonsensical. Furthermore, it devalues the unique standing of human personhood. Our responsibilities to animals are immense, but they are those of a steward to a ward, not of one citizen to another. The framework of welfare allows for this nuanced, practical, and compassionate relationship without descending into a legal fiction.
Ultimately, this is a question of justice. Every major social justice movement in history has been met with claims of impracticality and disruption. The arguments used today to deny rights to animals are chillingly similar to those once used to deny rights to certain groups of humans. We must have the courage to look beyond our own species and recognize that suffering is suffering, regardless of who is experiencing it. A truly just world is one that protects the vulnerable, not one that redefines them as property.
Emotion must not cloud sound judgment. Our moral obligations to animals are undeniable, but these obligations are best fulfilled through robust welfare laws and dedicated conservation, not by misapplying the human-centric language of rights. Let us be compassionate and effective stewards of the natural world. Let us protect animals from cruelty, because it is the right thing to do, not because we are laboring under a philosophical confusion between human persons and non-human animals. Responsible stewardship is our duty. False equality is a dangerous distraction.
Thank you both for a truly illuminating debate. We are left with a stark choice between the call for moral consistency based on sentience and the pragmatic argument for stewardship based on the unique nature of human social contracts. The question of where we draw our line of moral concern remains, undeniably, one of the most critical of our time. Good evening.